Before we can get to that, I just have to say you're respectfully terribly filthy. And this is an establishment that I have to insist requires some more cleanliness. And as he kind of waves his hand in front of you, you watch as all the dirt on your coat just begins to sift away. And you see before you, the first time since you've met, a sparkly, clean Caleb.
Whoa. Caleb, what have you done to him? What have you done to Caleb?
Oh, you're just an excitable little friend there, aren't you? This giant hand goes out and kind of pats you on the head.
It's gentle.
There is a large difference between support characters and DMPCs, but boy is that large difference very easily misidentified as the exact same thing. See, a support character does a lot for the game. It develops trust, stakes, investment, but when done wrong, it can honestly tear apart a game if you're not careful. Before we get into it, did that squirrel just interrupt my own spoiler warning? I could be angrier, right?
Yeah.
I could make that angry. Hold on, let me dial that up to 10. Let's redo it, retake.
All right, backwards eyebrow man.
Okay, you're really making this different. You need to stop. If this joke makes sense, I can't put any of this in the video, so there's no reason for any of this.
I'm trying to encourage you to be angry.
Did that squirrel just interrupt my own spoiler warning? There we go. That was pretty angry. I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that was pretty angry.
Put backwards eyebrows on the squirrel.
Yeah, I'm not putting backwards eyebrows on the squirrel. Doesn't even make any sense. Right, now obligatory unhinged spoiler warning out of the way and my wife interrupting me every few seconds. We can get into the video. So what I'm trying to talk about today is support.
Spoiler warning.
Not spoiler warning. No, I will never make a full video on spoiler warnings. That is the day my channel dies. The channel dies. Hey, you're singing, my, that's a spoiler, my guy. Anyways, we're trying to talk about, trying being the key word here, support NPCs. Now, support NPCs are very different from DNPCs, which if you don't know stands for Dungeon Master Player Character, or if you're not playing D&D 5e or D&D in general, then it's just GMPC. That's not the point. It is a very specific type of NPC that is meant to be there specifically to provide support for the players. The reason that it's incredibly difficult to do is because of the fact that when you create a support character, you have to make sure they don't come across as a deus ex machina or an extra resource that the players can always use to overcome a situation and just kind of feel like your own self-insert. See, and that's what I'm talking about when I mentioned the GMPCs. GMPCs oftentimes feel like NPCs who are more powerful than the rest of the parties, and it's just the GM's chance to have their own player character. And avoiding that is really important. You want the story to be about the player characters, but when you provide a support character, it has to be something that uplifts them, not overshadows them. And that can be difficult, especially when taking into a lot of things such as world building, mechanics, etc. So that's what we're discussing, and I honestly have quite a few examples that I'm excited to get into today, hence the spoiler warning. Also, at this point, I'm kind of afraid that if I don't put a spoiler warning in my videos, I might have a riot in my comment section. Is that a fish? Are you putting a fish? Is this a fish? I can't. What have you put? That is a fish. Is he getting pet?
No, it's a koi fish.
It's a koi fish?
Yeah, it's really pretty.
It's a very pretty fish. Very pretty fish. Thank you. Thank you. You messed up my teleprompter. Every day I make a video. Every Friday a video goes out. And each week, a little bit more of my sanity drains away like the very sands of life.
Fish.
Fish. What are these videos anymore? I might just make a second channel at this point to edit all this stuff out and put it somewhere, because it can't go on the main channel. We can't have all this in the main channel. So with all that out of the way of what a support character is, why they're important and why they could be a problem, let's talk about exactly how to do them. And in order to do that, we're going to talk about exactly what it is that they accomplish. Support characters really do emphasize the importance of enriching story and aiding main characters. When the main characters have somebody who is behind them, it makes them feel like they have been, well, supported. Like there's somebody in their ball game, there's somebody backing them up, and therefore, not only do they feel like they have that support, but they also feel like they're doing the right thing. Like it's a good thing to go adventuring, to accomplish things, because there's somebody who they care about that is behind them. But it's getting them to care about the support characters without making them overshadow the player characters that becomes extremely difficult. And so we're going to be using 2 different examples today on how to accomplish this. The first is Pumat Soul, the multifaceted merchant from Critical Role, Campaign 2. And then the next one we're going to use is Jawbone, who I've talked about before a few times on this channel. He's from Dimension 20's Fantasy High.
Chunky cardigan, swing behind him. You see Jawbone. Do you have panic attacks a lot? Do you like feel your breath kind of catch up in your... Listen to me, all right? You listen to me right here. Having panic attacks, that is not a character flaw, you understand? You are not a coward. You have a medical condition.
I constantly go back to that campaign specifically because as many times as I've tried to watch other Dimension 20 campaigns, I just find myself going back to Fantasy High. It is genuinely one of my favorites. And yes, before anybody asks, I will make a video about the second season and sophomore year at some point. Okay, I'll get to it. Just give me time. I got a lot of stuff that I'm watching. I watched Candela Obscura and Candela Obscura Season 2 twice now. I plan on watching it more, so just give me time and I will eventually get to making videos on that. Regardless, we're starting with Pumat Soul. Who is Pumat Soul? Well, he is a Furbolg merchant that is used many times in Campaign 2 in order to support the group. A lot of times, honestly, he's sort of treated as the replacement for Gilmore, who was the main merchant in Campaign 1.
As he turns around, his head is about to smack into one of these candles, and he just, knowing where it is, he's been so practiced, he just ducks under it and continues walking towards the back. You need some. And I'm like, oh, I heard him. And he turns around and takes down a couple of inkwells and sets them in front. And the other one is pulling out like stacks of paper and parchment, and they're stacking them up, and they set them there. All right, so how much you need of how much of each?
This guy's our new Gilmore, you guys.
A merchant they can go back to, get supplies from, eventually go adventuring with, and who they gain some personal connections with. But he did honestly become his own character, and I'm using him specifically because of one specific moment in Critical Role that I do find to be very fun that did a perfect job of creating this support character. So I'll give a little bit of an introduction to Pumat by doing what I think is honestly the best way to do so. I'll let Matt introduce him.
You see a large 7-foot-tall humanoid figure. Short, kind of bushy, curly brown hair that kind of froze up a little bit around. The body is very, very fine, grayish brown fur. And their nose is wide, almost like I want to say a cow or a bull's nose across a human face. The chin's a bit square, and the physicality is kind of hunched, and there's just a big smile on the face.
Hello there! It's Pumat Week here on Critical Role's Twitch channel.
So this character would pop up a few different times over the course of Campaign 2. Initially just kind of being a general merchant who would have supplies for them, would haggle with them, you know, a businessman. He wasn't just gonna give them stuff for free. But the reason that he became something that the players cared about is because he did something that a lot of GMs just simply don't do in their campaigns. They just had an NPC be nice and like the party. It's difficult to do that sometimes because a lot of the times player characters are wildly out there, way too bombastic. And so therefore it's really difficult to play an NPC who is actually going to enjoy the party's presence. But when you do so, it makes the party feel appreciated. It makes them feel like they're likable. It makes them feel like maybe they're doing a good thing. And Pumat did that perfectly. At first, it was just the general charm of being a shopkeep. Of course, he was going to be nice to them. He wanted their business. That makes perfect sense. But as time went on, as Pumat became more of an established character, they began to realize that he did genuinely have a sort of fondness for this. But what Matt really did that actually brought it all together and created a very cohesive character that they felt they could rely on is when Pumat was thrown into a combat scenario where he was forced to fight alongside the party and proved himself semi-competent.
All right, it's the Pumat's turn.
The Pumat's turn?
Ooh, they get to fight!
Wow,
So, Pumat, who sees this happen, is first he sees Caduceus make that face and go, "Oh, are you hungry?" And then sees the whole assault go, "Oh no, this is real bad." Looks back and sees all of you like getting up on tables and goes, "Boy, I ain't one to miss a clue here." Gets up on the counter and is going to go ahead and this will be interesting.
I love it when you say that.
Is going to go ahead and the people that look the most hurt right now are Beauregard and Caduceus, right?
Yes.
It's going to go ahead and cast Greater Invisibility.
Ooh.
Yo.
Now, this did a few different things. One, it created a bond of strength. There's something called trauma bonding, but basically when people go through very difficult scenarios together, it's not unlikely that they find a bond between that, even if they don't like the individual. So if the individual was already semi-liked by the party and now they've gone through something together and the individual proved themselves to be worth it, they showed competence, they fought alongside the party, they weren't a coward, well, that means a lot, right? That means that they can rely on this character, and therefore that bond gets created. The party begins to like the support character. Not only that, Pumat's abilities are honestly very supportive throughout this. He does his best to allow them help without really overshadowing them in any ways. And so that's a great thing. That really does a lot to create a better character. And so a bond is created. But then we have shown later in the campaign that he's actually an incredibly competent individual without overshadowing the party. See, I'm not gonna go too much into spoilers, but basically there's a situation where they're in dire straits and Pumat has come along to help them. And there's a moment where there are people coming in, they need time, they need backup, and so Pumat turns to all of them and tells them that he's going to buy them time.
All right, this is problematic. And he's gonna go ahead and begin to cast a spell. As he reaches back behind, there's a short sword in his sheath behind him, and as he pulls it out, he begins casting, sputtering under his breath, and you watch as suddenly his body begins to swell in size. You watch his muscles kind of... He grows about 3 feet taller.
I've been hoping to say it. Keep going.
And his robe kind of pulls Hulk-style to the edges of his body. His short sword now suddenly emits this kind of force energy around it. And Pumat is now hulked out between the two of them.
Do we want to say it together? 3, 2, 1. Pumat swole! Thank you. Been sitting on that for so long, hoping there'd be a reason.
He gains 50 temporary hit points.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
Casting Tensor's transformation, he becomes what the community would very kindly dub Pumat Swole and begins fighting off a large group of enemies all by himself just to give them time to go do what they need to do. That is a great way of showing competence without overshadowing the party because he didn't do the thing they needed to do. He didn't do the most important thing, but he used his competence to allow the party to accomplish their goal. That is one of the best ways to create a support character. Show they're powerful, show they're worth it, and show that they're going to do what they need to allow the party to be the heroes of the story. Not overshadowing them, just providing an option for them to be the true heroes. And that's why I chose Pumat specifically. Now, it's not like Sean or Gilmore from Campaign 1 didn't do this, but I think Pumat really nailed down in very definable instances when it occurred, and I think that is fascinating. But there are other ways of creating support characters, which leads us to our second example, Jawbone, the unconventional school counselor.
I was in a truck stop bathroom sucking off a border patrol because I was trying to sneak an iguana to my friend's place. He had a cockfight ring, all right? I had to get it to him because the thing had been slit, stuffed up full of drugs, and sewn back together. You understand me? No. Now,
Jawbone is one of my favorite NPCs of all time. He's the school counselor in Dimension 20's Fantasy High. I've explained Fantasy High 1,000 times. I don't feel the need to explain this again to my viewers. If you want to know what Fantasy High is, Google is your friend. Please feel free to look it up. But Jawbone ends up being the school counselor in this campaign through a variety of circumstances. When they first run into him, he's actually an antagonist and somewhat. And, well, okay, I'll just kind of let Brennan show that one in the same way I let Matt show the other one.
werewolf has kind of gotten up off his legs. He's still in that werewolf form. You see, he goes,
Yeah, that really hurt. What are you doing, man? I
it's not me, you know, it's a sickness. I'm sick. I'm just sick. I'm not well.
Look, man, we're all sick.
I have lycanthropy. You can go to a healer about it.
Okay, well, maybe you should go to a healer about it.
I don't have health care.
Do you want it? There's some guidance counselor positions opened at our school.
Do they have good health care there?
I would imagine
Where
that
do you guys
they
go to
have
school?
benefits.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, my name's Jawbone. If you want to put in a reference.
Mumble has better healthcare.
But Jawbone is somebody who isn't necessarily on their side, but isn't a bad guy. He's just really down on his luck. And that's the first interaction they have with him. Now, having an NPC show up as a sort of joke and then show up later again, showing personal growth because of their interaction with the party is another great way of creating a connection.
You guys rush out. Jawbone looks like, you don't know this guy super well, but he looks like, hey, this is the first kind of lucky break I've had in a while.
Oh no.
All right, Joe.
Because by doing so, you've implied that the party's presence makes things better, and they're gonna have a natural investment in that NPC. Hey, we interacted with this guy, and now we're seeing him again, and he's doing better in life. We kind of want to see him continue to do better because that's a great thing. That is a fantastic method of doing this and creating a better connection. Having an NPC show up over and over again, doing better and better, improving on themselves, will make the party naturally feel inclined to like this individual. Most likely. I don't know who your party is. Maybe they're full of a bunch of people who just want to see everybody suffer. I mean, there are parties out there that exist like that, so it's highly likely. But the point is, it is a great way to create that initial connection. With Pumat, it was very natural to have him constantly show up in the campaign because he was a merchant. With Jawbone, all that Brendan did was take this character and apply him to someplace else where he would naturally continue to show up as well, being the school's counselor. But there is an incredible reason of why he's a great supportive character, because he really did emotionally support the party, and that is something that should not be undervalued. A character who can reaffirm the characters, to encourage them, to validate them and their emotions is more valuable than you might think, because if you think about it, most campaigns have characters who go through very traumatizing circumstances, and having somebody there to say, hey, that did suck, and you're gonna be okay, but you gotta tough it out, you gotta talk to me, you gotta come to me because I care about you.
You're not a coward, Anine. You're sick. You just need medicine. You gotta come and talk to me. This is my job, God.
Boy, is that a way to get the characters to care about the character, because the character cares about the characters.
The character cares about the
The character cares about the characters of the player characters and the characters of the NPCs, which are non-player characters. We all on the same page? Or do you need me to run you through that again? See, the thing is the camera can't hear you flipping me off. Could you do a sound effect with it? Nice. Anyways, the character cares about the characters because the character cared about the character.
We're done.
That is a fantastic way of causing that genuine care, and really is a good method of doing it. But Jawbone had his moment just like Pumat Swole did. In the final battle, Jawbone comes along to help the party when almost nobody could. And we get this incredible moment showing how capable he is, because apparently Brendan doesn't quite understand the rules of lycanthropy, or he just ignored them because it was funnier to do it otherwise, which either way, yeah, sure, I get it. But apparently Jawbone is immune to literally any damage that is not silvered, and so he crawls into the mouth of a dragon from hell and fights it from inside the mouth while it tries to chew on him because it can't kill him.
You guys see on Jawbone's turn, he crawls into Golden Horse's mouth.
Oh, nice.
Oh, get out of there! Get out of there! And he cannot bite through Jawbone. He's like, should have gotten some silver fillings. Woo!
Jawbone is so cool.
Jawbone's like, all right, while he's chewing on me, I'm gonna try to get in deeper, see if I can plug the fire up.
Everything he said is wild.
I don't care if that's not how the rules work. It was cool, it was fun, and the players were excited to have an NPC on their side as powerful and capable as that. And that is fun. That's great. It's a really good approach by showing how capable he was, not just as a school counselor, but also as a fighter. He was willing to step up and fight alongside the party, and there was a reason to care about him, and he supported them by being essentially a tank for them while they fought. I personally, in one of the campaigns I run, have a supportive character that has been with the party for some time. At this point, he's basically one of the party members. He is a large werebear who uses a giant hammer, and I also bend the rules of lycanthropy for him too, but not quite as much as Brendan did. But the point is I really struggled with having him with the party because at first he was just supposed to be this one-off NPC who was large and huge and intimidating, and when the party continued to want to have him alongside them, I didn't want him to overshadow them, and I didn't know what to do. And so eventually when he gained this magic hammer, I gave him some very supportive abilities. The ability to give other people advantage, to heal them at the cost of using his own hit dice. Anything to make him more supportive and less of somebody that's going to overshadow them. He is a powerful tank, which is a supportive ability. He can heal them, he gives them advantage, but I never want him to overshadow because that's not the purpose. The players are the main characters. They should feel cool, and the supportive characters should feel useful, but not overly important. That is the main key, and it is a little bit of a difficult balance to find sometimes, but finding that balance is legitimately the art of creating these supportive characters. So how do you craft your own specifically? Well, take everything that I talked about here. Give the players a reason to care about them, and give them a reason to care about the players. Give them abilities that will help the players, but not overshadow them. Typically, supportive abilities and healing abilities are a great way to go about this. But also don't make them Deus Ex Machinas. Don't make them show up every time the party is in danger. The party should seek out the help of this NPC. The NPC should not just randomly show up. That is an important part of it. If the party doesn't want their help, they shouldn't be there unless there's a very specific story reason as to why, because that's what makes the supportive characters truly ring out, is because the party asked for them to be there. Now the NPC is more than welcome to offer their help, but the players have to accept it. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't steal moments from your players, enhance them with these types of characters. And doing all that, I think honestly, is the best way to create the best kind of characters possible. And it really makes the players feel cared for because you created something that really did make them memorable. And it really creates an incredible impact on the players and the audience as well. It leads lasting stories, lasting memories, and that is the goal of all TTRPGs. Create memories that we can all enjoy and laugh and embrace together. And isn't that a truly wonderful thing? So try and create your own support NPCs and add them to your campaign. You could add multiple of them and just let the players choose which ones they truly care about. But showing that the world cares about the characters makes the players care about the world. And that's probably the best thing you could possibly do. Why are you staring at me? What?
Player character showed care to her non-player character through her character who cares.
My player character on her till she cares. She care on my player till I character. Her, she on my player. Like, comment, subscribe.
Check out the links in his bio if you want dice support only crits with Jay's link.
She character on my her till I play with my... Ooh, no. Okay.